Alright, we'll be getting underway here now, and the first thing you're going to see the runners do is go into the only run and gun stage that we'll be doing throughout this run. This is the all bosses category, so you don't have to do any run and guns. The only reason we do this one is to get the gold that we need to be able to purchase 2 items to basically allow us to break the game on this patch. This is the legacy patch, which allows us to utilize the weapon swap glitch. Using this glitch basically allows us to swap our weapons back and forth and create massive amounts of bullets and deal massive amounts of damage to bosses. And you'll see that used in many different ways throughout the run.
Yeah, but talking about this stage itself, this is one of the most infamous stages in the entire run between runners, especially for top players where they try to reset over and over on this stage to hopefully try and get a perfect run of this stage. There is a trick later on which we're going to see a few runners get to. It's called Acorn Skip. You saw a few people trying to dash under that ledge, and Kirthar did get the Sparkles, sorry, did get the Acorn Clip, which saves around 5 seconds due to not having to fight that Acorn Maker. But unfortunately, Sparkles dies right after getting the clip, so that is a pretty big time loss right off the bat.
Yeah, dying on Forest Follies is very punishing. As Wolf was mentioning, it probably is the hardest stage in the run. Most resets are probably done here, and going for the Acorn Skip is generally risky because you do have to take damage, so getting through it, you will be on 1 health. So a minor mistake after the Acorn can really easily be your death.
Yeah. Sparkles finishing off Forest Follies. Well, most runners are already entering the first boss. So they've bought a few items from the shop. They bought Roundabout and Lubber, which are a few extra weapons which you can use. And thanks to what we explained earlier, which is the weapon swap glitch, where you can basically use 2 weapons at once, it's much worth it to actually go ahead and do the run and gun, despite it losing around 45 seconds of time. Acquiring those 2 weapons actually does save quite a bit of time to make up for all the time that you would spend on the run and gun just in like 2 or 3 bosses.
And a quick note there, you see Sparkles accidentally exited the shop without buying anything. What we do in the shop is we press buy and leave at the same time. And by doing that, it allows us to purchase our items and leave the shop at the same time. But if you unfortunately leave before buying anything, you lose, I think it's about 8 seconds, because you have to go back in and repurchase the items. And I also saw someone in chat asking if the run and gun is worth it on the modern patch. For speed runs, we do not do any run and guns on current patch. We just do the tutorial and talk to the advocate and buy the shotgun, the spread from the shop. Now the runners are moving on to Rivian Croaks. This boss is basically the first skip that we're able to get on phase 1 here of Rivian Croaks with the weapon swap. By spamming our weapons, we're able to skip phase 2. It saves about 8 to 10 seconds for this fight overall, and it makes the fight quite fast and a lot easier depending on the pattern you get. If you get Fireflies, the fight is actually a little bit harder, but if you get Punches, it's very easy.
A few runners approaching the final phase. There is a selection of 3 attacks which you could get, and both of the top runners get Bows, which is the hardest attack to go through. While Kirthar getting the Snake's pattern, which is by contrast one of the easiest ones, if not the easiest one.
And it looks like every runner was able to get the phase 2 skip as well there. So DeathsFrost and Potato are very, very close together. Probably about 10 seconds or so apart. As they're moving on to Goopy here. Nothing really to say much about Goopy. He's just a blue ball that bounces around a lot. So unfortunately it can make him quite hard to hit to get a good time, but after his first phase he normally just stands still for us, so we're able just to DPS him down.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, in the meantime, Sparkles took a death on Rivian Croaks, so that means he really has to make something happen to catch up to Kirthar, who's already finishing off on Goopy.
And unfortunately, not getting the second phase skip this time either on Ruby and Crooks. The third phase could be quite tricky with 1 health, though.
Yeah, that is for sure.
Potato and DeathsFrost are now going to be moving into probably the hardest fight on Isle 1 and the first plane level in the entire run, Hildeberg. Hilda is really, really difficult for a couple of reasons. Sparkles taking another unfortunate death there. You can go ahead and explain why Hilda is quite difficult, Wolf.
Yeah, so the fight itself is pretty tricky if you're trying to do the risker strategies, because it involves doing 2 plane access on the phase transformations, which means you don't have any room for unintentional damage. That is the first reason. The second reason is a pretty specific glitch you can get in this fight, where if you clear one of the transformation phases as soon as it begins, then what's going to happen is that Hilda is going to stay frozen in one of her phases and unable to attack, which means that you skip one of the later phase transformations where Hilda has invincibility. Getting the glitch not only is very precise, but also pretty saves quite a bit of time. It saves around 8 seconds of transformation. So this is one of the hardest fights to do efficiently for sure in the entire run.
Yeah, it's extremely tight on bullets, and as you can see, even just the slightest bit of movement from a runner can cause a bullet to be missed there. And Kirthar, unfortunately, taking a death there on the tornado from Hilda. And it doesn't look like any runner was able to get the glitch, actually, as well. Unless Potato might have. Not sure. And Sparkles is really struggling with Ruby and Crooks. I believe that was his 4th death, but it looks like he will get through this time, hopefully.
Yeah, well, Kirthar has another shot at the glitch, since he did have to retry the fight. Let's see if he gets it. I just barely missed it.
Yeah, Potato getting a 109 though in Hilda, that's a really, really good time without the glitch.
Of course, finally clearing the Ruby and Crooks fight. So moving on to Goopy. Hopefully can make a comeback.
Yeah, he is quite a bit behind Kirthar now for sure, but Kirthar did take a death on Hilda, so anything is possible. As both the top runners that are racing against each other are just about to be finishing up Cagney and moving on to Isle 2. Unfortunately, DeathsFrost taking a death, but on Isle 2 is really where the first boss can really give you some different types of RNG based on the 5 different candies that we'll see here from Baroness Bonbon. And based on the candies, you can lose or gain some time. So we'll see what pattern here Potato is going to get in a second. As he is moving into Isle 2, I believe that was a 734. We got Kirthar at the 112 Hilda Pog camp.
Potato with some pretty decent RNG so far.
Yeah, I don't know if the candy corn is considered good RNG. I always feel like it takes really long to kill.
It's the candy with the shortest death animation, so that saves quite a bit of time.
Okay, well that's nice then, yeah. Yeah, Potato got a very quick Baroness there, it looks like. Yeah, 36 overall isn't too bad.
Kirthar entering L2 at around 8 minutes 20 seconds.
And that's about when DeathsFrost entered as well, so he's about a minute behind Potato. And both runners get Cupcake first. And over on Potato's screen, we did forget to note here that he did pick up the bombs now for the plane levels. The main difference between the plane levels here is that the difference between Hilda and the rest of the plane fights will be we'll be able to use a similar swapping technique with the bombs, which allow us to deal a lot more damage as well. It's not just straight up mashing, it's more of the rhythmic double tap. But Potato is on the last phase of Wally here with 2 health, so he should be good. But Wally can be a very, very dangerous boss too quickly.
Yeah, one of the most dangerous bosses in the run. The reason why people don't usually mash the weapons and play stages is because of DP Shooter, which has a very low cooldown. So by mashing the button, that will mean that in order to abuse efficiently DP Shooter weapon, you will have to mash quite fast. But luckily, since you have a weapon with a low cooldown and a weapon with a high cooldown, what you can do instead is do that rhythmic swapping and time it with the mini-bombs, so that you can keep using the DP Shooter normally and just do a double swap whenever the mini-bomb is ready.
DeathsFrost is going to hold damage off there on Wally, not kill him at the top of the screen. A little bit of timeless you can get on Wally is killing him at the top of the screen, then you can't swap bombs in his face. It looks like DeathsFrost is going to just play it safe anyway and pull all the way back.
But it is on Jimmy. He's shooting some mini bombs down to the bottom, and it's not just for show. There is a hidden hitbox down below. The Cuphead likes to store hidden hitboxes off screen whenever they're not used, and that is the case in the Jimmy the Great fight. There's I believe it's the 3rd phase, actually the 4th phase, the puppet pretty much. The puppet's hitbox is stored down below whenever it's not used, and you can actually hit that with mini bombs, which allows to sneak in quite a bit of damage and facilitate this glitch, which freezes Jimmy in the sarcophagus phase, saving quite a bit of time in phase transformations. So Potato getting a 58, where you normally without the glitch would only be able to get times over 1 minute.
And the off-screen hitbox, I believe this is the first one that we really do abuse. I don't think there's any ones before this boss, really. But Potato is now moving on to Beppy, which is probably the coolest glitch in the game. By killing Beppy's 2nd phase during his cart phase here, we'll see if Potato's able to get it. Unfortunately, he doesn't, so we'll talk about it if another runner does get it.
Yeah, what Potato did instead is he used another off-screen hitbox to the left, but clearing the 3rd phase that late is not gonna get the glitch, but instead just skip the phase. So you did not get to see the 2nd phase and went straight to the 3rd phase. Kirthar's taking a death on Jimmy, so that might give Sparkles a good chance to catch up.
Yeah, another window of opportunity there for Sparkles. The Jimmy can be really, really tough when you lock him in that sarcophagus phase. As you can see, these ghosts that just pop out randomly, there's really just no pattern to them, and you can't really... Sometimes you just can't kill them, they just pop out right on top of you, so you're really left up to the RNG to survive, as DeathsFrost unfortunately takes the death there as well, to another one of those ghosts. And Potato finishing up Beppy, and he will now be moving on to the last boss of Aisle 2, which again does have another off-screen hitbox that we might see him abusing here to get another phase lock. The phase lock in this fight is not necessary like it is in the other ones to save a lot of time. This one just really makes the fight a lot easier, so you're not left up to basically dealing with Cloud RNG. But basically getting into the final phase with 2 or 3 HP is still generally pretty safe, and Potato does get a pretty decent pattern to get the glitch, so we'll see if he does get it. And he does.
Yeah, whenever you see the screen shaking, that does mean that you got the glitch. Kirthar is on Beppy, so we'll see if he actually does get the Beppy glitch. Ooh, and Sparkles taking a death, another death in Jimmy the Great.
And as you can see there, Sparkles did not opt to do the Jimmy glitch, and he did have to deal with fighting the puppet phase there.
Yeah, so this is the Bappy glitch. Basically, by clearing the third phase within the first phase, so before the second phase even begins, what's gonna happen is Bappy is going to stay frozen in the second phase until the end of the fight. And doing that actually saves a lot of time both of phase transitions, where normally you would be able to get times around 50 seconds without the glitch. Thanks to that, you can get times of 30 seconds or even below that. As for also a Bappy, so we'll see if he gets it. But Potato has just started Idle 3 with one of the most important fights in the run. There is a very specific pattern that runners usually look for, which is the middle pattern, which Potato unfortunately did not get. And getting that, and getting that middle pattern saves around 8 seconds, because you can actually one cycle here with that middle pattern, while it's not possible with the side pattern. Taking a death, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, Potato taking a death, so that'll give DeathsFrost a little bit of catch-up time there. It's very unfortunate to do, but it does give him another attempt here to get the 33% RNG that we're looking for, and he does get it this time. Yeah, I think it was like, I forget the exact numbers. Luigi was here, so he might have it if he's around. And now we're seeing Kirthar is now about to move on to aisle 3 as well, as Potato is going to be moving on to the fastest boss in the game here, the fastest boss kill, which is Dr. Call. We have a really tight glitch here, which is pretty tough to pull off, but the faster you go, the better. So hopefully Potato is looking at something between 14 and 18 seconds.
Yeah. One of the fastest fight in the game, but also I'd argue one of the hardest fights in the game, ironically. Because getting this glitch saves around 20 seconds, so runners really do want to get the glitch, as well as making the fight much safer than playing the fight fully. Because playing the fight normally is pretty scary, actually. And Potato getting a first try, which we haven't seen that much in the tournament, I have to say, so congrats to him.
Alright, DeathsFrost finishing up with Grim Mash 6. He did also get the freeze there, and he will now also be moving on to aisle 3. And Potato basically has a pretty easy cruise for these next two boss fights. They're probably considered the easiest bosses on aisle 3. Sally's stage play here being one of them.
Yeah, there are a few tricks in this fight, because a few runners have invested some time actually finding ways to save time. And I believe Luigi and Jason have developed a few strategies, here in phase 2 specifically, to try and kill Sally as she's jumping towards the top of the screen, which, since she's rising during the phase transition, means that the third phase actually begins sooner than normal. But I honestly doubt we're going to see something like that in races. It's a pretty scary strategy to go for. Kirthar getting the robot glitch, who's going to be facing Sally pretty soon. While DeathsFrost gets the side pattern, which again is lower than the middle pattern.
Yeah, hopefully he's able to get the second version of the quick kill, killing her before she turns into a plane, and to save himself a little bit of time at least.
Yeah,
just in time there.
Sparkles is fighting Wally, but he actually took a different route than the other runners. It's faster to go to Wally right after Baroness and then do the remaining 3 bosses in order. But there's this older route where you save Wally for later, and I guess Sparkles is just more comfortable with that one.
Yeah, the newer route is definitely a few months old now. Sparkles is probably more comfortable with the older. But yeah, the older route you'll see involves him going behind the mountain here to get to Grim Matchsticks instead of just walking through the tent by Beppy. It's basically just a routing. The only thing that's different in the route is just the routing of the bosses and the order you do them and the path that you take walking, and it saves about 4 seconds.
DeathsFrost fighting the robot, so they can actually get the glitch here. Playing it safe. I don't blame him.
He's gonna play it real safe and destroy a lot of the bombs.
Also at 1 HP. And he gets knockout, nice.
Yeah, that would have been very unfortunate to lose that one, because that was quite the long fight as well.
So Potato is done with the easy part of Isle 2. Briny Beard is a pretty tough boss to face. Would you mind explaining that?
Briny Beard can be extremely challenging based on the patterns that you get here. He basically has a couple of different attacks, and basically what the runners want to see for a good pattern for a normal runner would be a machine gun, and then a machine gun with either 3 or 4 bullets, or a shark or a squid, so they can transition the phases faster. Because Briny is actually a damage-based phase fight, so once you do enough damage to transition him here into this final phase with the teeth, he will no longer take damage. So you'll have to wait for him to finish his attack to go. And based on the cycle that you get, you can lose a lot of time. And a 36 is actually pretty decent, so... Potato did get the fastest version that you could possibly get with the first machine gun with 4 bullets and then a 2 machine gun, but unfortunately it's extremely hard to put out enough damage to convert it into the final phase.
Yeah, it is extremely difficult to do the 2 cycle with the fastest gun, and I don't believe anyone has actually ever hit it in full runs yet.
Yeah, I believe you and Jason, right, are the only people to actually do it in just IL practice, right?
Yeah, I mean, we tried to go for it in full runs, but it's actually extremely tough to actually get this kit.
And Sparkle's taking a couple of deaths here on Grim Matchstick. Very challenging boss, honestly. Especially if you don't get the good pattern to have to face that final phase.
Yeah, that is for sure. But Sparkle is also almost not without them, so that's a good thing. Speaking of dangerous bosses, Potato is fighting Calamaria, which is one of the scariest bosses in the run. In order to do the fight optimally, you usually want to take at least a few HP of damage, especially if you get like the Ghost Attack, which you can barely skip a phase and skip a few cycles only if you decide to take the attacks. And due to that, you usually have to fight the final phase with 1 HP, or have to lose quite a bit of time.
And unfortunately, you'll see there from Kirthar, he got a pretty long cycles and ended with I believe it was a 42 Briny, which just means he got some really bad RNG, unfortunately. And Sparkles did take another death there as well. So hopefully he'll be able to finish up Grim Matchsticks now and get on to the 3rd island as well in a second. As Potato's probably moving on to the most technical fight, in Isle 3 at least. This fight is extremely difficult, just based on trying to get a good time. You have to be really, really tight with your movement and very, very comfortable with your jumps. And basically also, if you don't want to do any parries to save yourself screen lag in like real time, it's extremely hard to have all of those candies just fall onto the cart so you don't have to parry it yourself, but there are some people who are able to do that.
Yeah, one of the most technical fights out there for sure.
And yeah, that lollipop phase there that you saw Potato just take out is normally what can cost some people a lot of time. If you're able to kill you want to be able to kill both lollipops during the first phase of their attack to save the most optimal time, which involves usually damage boosting to kill one in the middle of the track while it's attacking. Potatoes now is going to be moving into Inkwell Hell and be fighting the final 2 bosses of the game.
Yeah,
the
the
final
first.
two bosses. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the first one of which is one of the most unique fights in the game. King dies. It basically has a board, and you have to roll a die and land on a few certain spots. And depending on the spot you land on, you get a different mini boss. Of course, the die and the mini bosses that you get are completely predictable. So you get a specific mini boss based on numbers. So, for example, number 2, which Potato just got, is the poker chips, which is the fastest fight out of the first set of numbers. So what the runners are pretty much just trying to do here is just try and roll the die, trying to get to manipulate a specific number to fight exactly the mini bosses that they want. And then once they get to the end, they're going to fight King Dice himself.
And Kirthar taking an unfortunate death there in the final phase of Phantom Express, which is a very, very big time loss, as Sparkles is finally able to finish up her match 6 there.
Yeah, I'm not completely sure if we're going to see tips from Potato, but as soon as he's done from the dominant fight, he's going to have to fight and the final mini-boss on King Dice before actually fighting Kingdom himself. And from the final set of numbers, the technically fastest mini-boss to fight is number 9, which is the monkey. And if you play this game casually, you might be wondering why, because it's normally a very long and repetitive, to be honest, game of memory. But in Legacy, the 1.0 version, there's actually a glitch to completely skip this fight. So if Potato is actually able to do parries with a specific timing, which he failed to do, but like hopefully you can get it pretty soon, you can actually get the monkey to the edge of the screen, then scroll the screen, and if you do that, you can actually clip the monkey out of bounds. And doing that will actually get the knockout.
Yeah, luckily he got the clip out of bounds there while he got the match, because otherwise he would have had to deal some damage to the monkey, as Sparkles did get the good BRNG as well. So I believe the count for that is now 13 out of 47. That's crazy. Yeah, I believe Potato had enough HP not to tank the cards, but or to tank the cards, and he opted to do some parries, which again will lose you some time because it does cause in-game lag. So it makes the fight take a little bit longer on your timer overall. And Potato getting out of King Dice with a 145. That's not too bad with a couple missed monkey attempts as well.
True. Sparkles fighting the robot. A brawl is surely brewing. Which, I repeat, is one of the hardest fights in the game.
And as Potato does move on to the final fight of the run for him, this is the Devil. There has been a new tech found out recently, which can save about 2 seconds, I believe. We'll probably see Potato do that in the second phase, but unfortunately he does get our least favorite attack from the Devil, the Spider. Basically, we don't like this because his hitbox is just not on screen enough for us to do optimal damage. But it looks like Potato still might be able to get a 2-attack, 1 phase from him. Yeah, he does. Very nice.
Yeah. One thing you also have to be careful about in this fight is a soft lock. Basically, if you clear the second phase during the first phase, in contrast with Peppy or Grim, you don't actually get a freeze, you get a soft lock, so you have to be careful with that. And the same is true for Calamaria.
Yeah, you saw Potato pause there. That's the little glitch I was talking about. It allows us to move preemptively before normally you're phased and afraid of the Devil for a second there, but with pausing and using an EX, you're able to move freely. And Potato finishing up with a 26.55. I don't believe that's a PB for him, even though his timer says it is. Must be comparing against the old split.
Considering he had a death on Rumor Honey Bottoms, that is an extremely solid time.
Yeah, it's a very good time with the death. Yeah, definitely. As DeathsFrost is struggling on Phantom Express.
And Kirthar is also moving on the Devil. The first phase is actually a phase with where the devil has a lot of selection of attacks. So even though the weapon swap glitch pretty much eats the bosses, so we don't actually get to see a lot of attacks. Since this is a race, we actually have a chance to see a lot of different attacks, unless the devil decides to not be nice and do the spider attack again.
Yeah, it looks like the devil does not want to be friendly with anyone today. And yeah, Potato is comparing against old splits, I believe, Yuka, so that's not a PB from him. I believe he has a 26-18 on the leaderboard. And we'll see Kirthar probably. Yeah, Kirthar's going to do the pause and EX as well. And it looks like, yeah, he got the very good where you kill the devil, you kill the second phase before he's able to do an attack. So all you saw there is just poker chips falling for Kirthar. And he was able to get an extremely quick kill.
Goes to show about the power of the weapon swap glitch.
Well, I guess an extremely quick end phase. This first phase was quite long.
Yeah. GG to Kirthar. Can you get 28-01?
And we'll get a Potato in here. In Kirthar probably in a moment.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going? GG.
Yeah, GG.
Congratulations on your win.
Thank you.
Yeah, 26-55 is very, very good with the death, and I believe you missed the monkey 3 times.
Yeah, and then I got it in a really weird, like, I flipped 2 matching cards, and then you just left anyway.
Yeah, that was
I just
very
looked at
nice.
it, I'm like, wait. So yeah. Other than that, I didn't really have too many big mistakes. I even got a gold split on Cal somehow.
Nice.
Yeah, up until Honey Bottom, I was like 2 seconds behind PB, so I could have done it because on on Phantom Express I had a death on these splits, so I probably could have gotten it, but I don't know. The RNG wasn't there for me, and I just couldn't handle the attack.
Yeah, it happens sometimes.
Yeah.
And at
Honestly,
least
after that death, I was like, oh, okay, I'm probably behind. And so then when I peeked into the stream, I'm like, oh, okay, apparently I wasn't the only one that just had a bad day today.
Yeah, I believe DeathsFrost had a death on. I'm not sure exactly who he died on first. Forget. There have been a lot of deaths during this 4-way for sure.
Yeah. Well, not every run could be perfect.
Yeah, they're bound to happen in a game as difficult as Cuphead as well. So
definitely.
But yeah, definitely a very good run from you, and Kirthar's GG as well for your victory.
Yeah, thanks.
Just over 28 minutes, GG.
GG. Very big GG. Man, I'm not happy about that run, to be honest.
You gotta shake it off. You can't let it get to you for the next race.
Yeah, I know. It's just, man, like every death I had was like at the end of very long boss fights. So I lost like 1 minute for every death.
Yeah.
And every time I was just, oh.
That's always the worst, is dying on like the end of a long boss. Like dying at the start, like if you die phase 1 Beppy, you lost maybe like not 15 seconds-ish. Maybe even less. You die at the end of like Phantom Express, or like even worse, you die at the end of King Dice, and it's just like, well, I'm behind now.
Yeah, he unfortunately did take a death at Phantom.
Yeah.
Right at the last phase.
Damn.
Man.
Big feels.
Yeah, overall, still GG's to winning the races for both of you.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I believe you had 1 or 2 more deaths as well, Kirthar. I forget where, though.
Yeah, I had a death on Hilda at the end.
Oh yeah, Hilda, yeah.
And 1 death on Jimmy at the end.
Yeah, okay.
Hilda's always terrible because you autopilot. You're like, well, I've done this boss before. It's fine. And then a single star comes out and just hits you.
Yeah, like, yeah, I don't even remember what killed me. I try to forget.
Yeah.
Then I had a retry on the robot, which wasn't so bad, but yeah, it just piled on, you know. But I had some good fights as well. I got a 40 Sally, which I'm happy about.
Nice. Was that a gold split for you?
Let's see. It was
just say it's a gold split. It'll look better on the record.
Oh, yeah. It was a gold split.
It was a gold split by 5 minutes.
Yeah,
So fast.
GG. Very fast, very fast. Yeah, that's awesome though. 40 Sally is definitely difficult to get, especially in a race.
I was really annoyed because before I got into the race today, I was doing like some practice runs, and I got, I think, looking at like the end of battle like times, I would have gotten about 5 gold splits, including one on King Dice, which really annoyed me after that terrible monkey.
Yeah, but overall, you both finished, and you're both the winners, and that's all that really matters. DeathsFrost just finishes up there with a 33-46.
Yeah, GG's to him.
GG's to death.
Yeah, GG.
My shoulders.
Hey, Deaths, welcome. GG.
This game sucks.
Well, at least we know how he feels about his run.
I'm sorry you feel that way.
GG's potato. Yeah, that's all I have to say. This game sucks.
That's your final words?
It takes time. The heart of the cards wasn't there. You didn't get the blessed 112 Hilda. That's what happened.
Dude, I got a tornado first attack Hilda, so I was like, alright, Hilda glitch is out. Died onto Jimmy trying to do sarcophagus glitch, and then I actually got super good BRNG, but it didn't matter, so that was fun.
Yeah. That's the issue, is that even something like BRNG only saves so much compared to like getting a proper glitch off.
Yeah, the platforms also can play a big part there, so it can be quite difficult.
Yeah, so while we were waiting for Sparkles, who is a King Dice on the poker chip fight, while we were waiting for Sparkles to finish off his run, I want to ask you a few questions to you guys. How do you feel about your upcoming matches?
Well, I mean, considering mine is against Kaleva and you, there's a bit of arm spaghetti going on. We'll have to see how it goes. I think as long as I don't just die to a random boss, I can get at least decently close, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Cuphead race, so everything can happen. I mean, all it takes is a couple deaths from a runner, and that can actually put quite a wide gap between the two runners.
Yeah.
So how about you, Kirthar?
Let me see. I haven't really checked who I'm up against next time. Let's see. I'm up against Jumper. I don't know how to pronounce it. Yeah,
Jumper.
It's Jumper. Okay. I think it's a pretty good runner. So if I play like this again, I could probably get beaten pretty easily if I don't pay attention. So yeah, you gotta be careful. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I know that I'm up against 2C plus at the end, so that's gonna be hype.
Should be an easy win. It's not.
TC's free.
Yeah, for sure.
And if he looks like he's getting ahead, just slip him $5. It's like, oh no, I died.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but serious talk. Your match against 2C Plus is definitely going to be one of the most interesting matches we're going to see out of the group stages.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching that one for sure. They're 2C Plus and Kirthar are both top runners in this category. For those of you unfamiliar.
Yep. Gotta make sure to practice for real. I haven't really been practicing before this match, not because I didn't want to, but well, I just haven't had time or the energy to do it, sadly. But yeah, I gotta step up before that. For sure.
You know, there's still plenty of time left in the tournament, so. And I believe you're, have you lost the race yet?
I'm sorry, what did I say?
Yeah, so then you're on a definitely good pace to make it out of the group stage.
We'll see. Anything can happen.
Yeah. And now Sparkles is moving on to the final boss, and he's about to be finishing up here.
Did everybody got spiders so far?
Yeah.
I think so.
Everybody got spiders.
Oh.
Cuphead doing a sponsorship campaign with the new Spider-Man game to really show it off here.
Nice. So DeathsFrost, I think you're the only one missing from the question. How do you think how do you feel about your upcoming matches?
I believe the only one I have left is Zentai, because after that is the bye week because Fries dropped out of the tournament. Rest in peace, Fries, by the way. Yeah, so Zentai's the only one left, and I don't feel like we're that far apart in PBs compared to like me and Wolf or something. So it's possible, but I'll need him to be a little slow, and for me to not die 4 times on Phantom. That was fun, by the way.
This should be a fun race.
Yeah, you and Zentai definitely pretty close, so anything can happen there as well. A few mistakes from Zentai. You play very clean, you know, anything can happen.
Oh no. That was
almost had it.
Yeah, Sparkles almost had the knockout.
Yeah, I wish we could put his audio on, but unfortunately we cannot. Yeah, we had to rock your audio the entire time, Potato, but it was alright. You were, you and Kirthar were basically in the lead the entire time anyway.
Ah, okay.
That ended up working out. And I think it was just Kirthar's audio that we were able to use there. Yeah, just his.
I think Sparkles finished according to them.
Yeah, 40.
He can't join the stuff for commentary though.
Okay, yeah, 40 minutes and 21 seconds. So, yeah, GG's all the runners, and
GG.
Yeah, GG's.
Should probably wrap up since we probably went a little bit over schedule.
Almost the 420 places.
Almost the 420.
Yeah, just off by about 36 minutes.
Right, those Sparkle stars have one thing to add.
Yeah, GG's to Sparkles and GG's to everybody. I'm not sure exactly when to have more Cuphead. I believe there's another race tomorrow.
I've got the schedule. There's the next scheduled race is SBD in Kaleva on the 14th. We don't know if there's going to be more, though, that someone might schedule in between.
Okay, well then, yeah, on the 14th that we know of right now, and that's going to be a really, really good one, so you're definitely going to want to get here for that. But again, GG's to everybody, and that's it from us, guys. Have a good day.
Yeah,
thank you guys.
GG's to everyone again.
Thank you guys for commentating, and thanks to Speed Gaming for hosting this.
Yeah, GG's everyone.
Yeah, GG.
GG's everyone. Have a good night.
GG.